I stood in the doorway of our home office, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst through my chest. Nate sat at his desk, his back to me, completely oblivious to my presence. I watched as he clicked through folders on his laptop, pausing occasionally to type. The soft glow of the screen illuminated his face, and for a moment I was struck by how handsome he still was, even after all these years. But that thought vanished as quickly as it came, replaced by a searing anger that threatened to consume me. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. "You're cheating on me, aren't you, Nate?" My voice trembled, but I forced the words out. Nate spun around in his chair, his eyes wide with surprise. For a split second, I saw panic flash across his face before it was replaced by a smirk that made my blood run cold. "Eliza," he said, his tone casual, as if we were discussing the weather. "What makes you say that?" I stepped into the room, my hands shaking as I clutched my phone. "I found the folder, Nate. The one with all the love letters. To Sarah." Nate's smirk faded, replaced by a look of resignation. He leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. "Well, I suppose there's no point in denying it now, is there?" His nonchalance infuriated me. "How could you do this to us? To me? To Maddie?" Nate stood up, towering over me. "Oh, come on, Eliza. Don't act so surprised. You had to know this was coming." "What's that supposed to mean?" I spat. He shrugged. "You're just so boring, predictable, always nagging about this or that. Is it any wonder I looked elsewhere?" His words hit me like a physical blow. I stumbled back, gripping the doorframe for support. "Boring? Predictable? I've given you everything, Nate. My love, my time, my whole life. And that's the problem, isn't it?" Nate sneered. "You're suffocating me. Sarah, she's exciting. She doesn't try to control every aspect of my life." I felt tears welling up in my eyes, but I blinked them away. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me cry. "What about Maddie? Did you even think about her when you were off with your exciting new girlfriend?" Nate's face softened for a moment at the mention of our daughter. "Maddie will be fine. Kids are resilient." Resilient? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "She's 12, Nate. She needs her father." "And she'll have me," he said, his tone dismissive. "This doesn't change anything with Maddie." I laughed bitterly. "Doesn't change anything? You've blown up our entire family." Just then, we heard the front door open and close. "Mom? Dad? I'm home," Maddie's voice called out. Nate's eyes widened in panic. "We'll discuss this later," he hissed. "Don't you dare say anything to Maddie." I glared at him, my mind racing. How could I face our daughter, knowing what I knew? How could I pretend everything was normal when my world was crumbling around me? "Mom?" Maddie appeared in the doorway, her backpack slung over one shoulder. She looked from me to Nate, her brow furrowing. "Is everything okay?" I forced a smile, my heart breaking at the concern in her eyes. "Everything's fine, sweetie. How was school?" As Maddie launched into a story about her day, I caught Nate's eye over her head. He gave me a warning look, but all I could think about was protecting my daughter from the pain that was surely coming. In that moment, I made a decision. I wouldn't let Nate's betrayal destroy our family. I would fight for Maddie, for myself, and for the life we deserved. And if that meant taking Nate down in the process, so be it. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a battle that would test every ounce of my strength and resolve. As I lay in bed that night, sleep eluding me, my mind drifted back to the day Nate and I got married. The memory, once so sweet, now felt tainted by the knowledge of his betrayal. I remembered standing at the altar, my heart full of hope and love. Nate had looked so handsome in his tuxedo, his eyes shining as he recited his vows. "I promise to love and cherish you, Eliza, for all the days of my life," he'd said. How hollow those words seemed now. After the ceremony, we'd made our way through the reception, greeting guests and basking in the glow of our newfound marital bliss. That is, until we reached Nate's mother, Gloria. "Welcome to the family, I suppose," she'd said, her voice as cold as ice. Her eyes had raked over me, clearly finding me wanting. I'd felt Nate stiffen beside me, but he'd said nothing to defend me. It was the first of many times he would choose silence over standing up to his mother. As the years passed, Gloria's disdain for me only grew. She'd drop by unannounced, criticizing everything from my housekeeping to my parenting skills. "Nate, darling," she'd say, ignoring me completely, "don't you think Maddie's room is a bit messy? Perhaps Eliza needs some guidance on maintaining a proper home." Each time I'd bite my tongue, not wanting to cause a rift between Nate and his mother. But now, lying in the dark, I realized how those constant jabs had eroded my confidence in my relationship with Nate. A soft knock at the door jolted me from my thoughts. "Mom?" Maddie's voice was barely a whisper. "Can I come in?" "Of course, sweetheart," I said, sitting up and turning on the bedside lamp. Maddie padded into the room, her face etched with worry. "I heard you and Dad fighting earlier. Is everything okay?" My heart clenched. How could I explain to my 12-year-old that her father had shattered our family? "We're just going through a rough patch, honey, but don't worry, we'll figure it out." She climbed onto the bed, curling up next to me like she used to when she was little. "Is it because of Grandma Gloria? I heard her telling Dad that you're not good enough for him." Anger flared in my chest. So Gloria had been poisoning Nate against me all along. "Sweetie, sometimes adults say hurtful things they don't really mean, but I want you to know that I love you and your dad very much." Maddie nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. "Dad's been acting weird lately. He's always on his phone and he barely talks to us anymore." I pulled her close, fighting back tears. "I know, honey. I've noticed too. But I promise you, I'm going to fix this. Everything's going to be okay." As Maddie drifted off to sleep in my arms, I made a silent vow. I wouldn't let Gloria's manipulations and Nate's weakness destroy our family. I had to find a way to confront them both and protect Maddie from the fallout. The next morning, I woke with a sense of purpose. I gently extracted myself from Maddie's embrace and headed downstairs, determined to have it out with Nate once and for all. But as I entered the kitchen, I froze. There, sitting at our breakfast table like she owned the place, was Gloria. And next to her, looking far too comfortable, was a young woman I'd never seen before. Nate cleared his throat, looking anywhere but at me. "Eliza, you remember Sarah, don't you? Mom's friend Franklin's daughter?" The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. This wasn't just an affair. This was a carefully orchestrated plan with Gloria pulling the strings. As Sarah smiled at me, all fake sweetness and hidden triumph, I felt something inside me snap. The time for being the quiet, accommodating wife was over. It was time to fight back. I stood in the kitchen doorway, my body rigid with shock and anger. Sarah's presence in my home, sitting at my table, felt like a slap in the face. I forced myself to take a deep breath before speaking. "What's going on here?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. Gloria beamed at me, her smile as fake as her bleached blonde hair. "Oh, Eliza, dear, we thought it was time for a little family meeting." I bit back a scathing retort. "Family meeting? I wasn't aware Sarah was part of our family." Nate cleared his throat, finally meeting my eyes. "Eliza, please, let's not make a scene." "A scene?" I laughed bitterly. "You bring your mistress into our home, and I'm the one making a scene?" Sarah had the audacity to look offended. "I'm not his mistress. Nate and I love each other." I felt my control slipping. "Get out of my house, both of you," I said, pointing at Sarah and Gloria. Gloria's eyes narrowed. "Now, Eliza, you're being unreasonable. We're just trying to help." "Help," I spat. "How exactly is this helping?" Nate stood up, his face a mask of frustration. "You're too controlling, Eliza. Mom's just trying to help us work through this." His words hit me like a physical blow. I stared at him, unable to believe what I was hearing. "Are you serious right now? Your mother has been undermining our marriage for years, and you're defending her?" Gloria interjected, her voice sickly sweet. "Eliza, dear, I've only ever wanted what's best for Nate. And frankly, you've never been good enough for him." The room fell silent. Even Nate looked shocked at his mother's blunt admission. I took a step forward, my voice low and dangerous. "I have put up with your criticism and manipulation for years, Gloria, but this ends now. You do not get to decide what's best for my family." Nate finally seemed to find his voice. "Eliza, that's enough. Mom's right. You've always been too controlling, too demanding. Sarah understands me in a way you never have." I felt something inside me snap. Years of pent-up frustration and hurt came pouring out. "Controlling? Demanding? I've given up everything for this family, Nate. My career, my independence, all to be the wife and mother you wanted, and this is how you repay me?" Sarah stood up, reaching for Nate's hand. "Maybe we should go. This isn't productive." I whirled on her. "Oh no, you don't get to play the victim here. You knew he was married. You knew about Maddie, and you still chose to destroy our family." Gloria rose to her feet, her face twisted with anger. "That's quite enough, Eliza. You're hysterical. Perhaps it's time we discussed custody arrangements for Maddie. Clearly, you're not in a fit state to care for her." The threat to take my daughter away was the final straw. I advanced on Gloria, my voice shaking with rage. "If you think for 1 second that I'll let you take my daughter away from me, you're sorely mistaken. I will fight you with everything I have." Nate stepped between us. Eliza, calm down. No one's taking Maddie away. We just need to think about what's best for her. I stared at him, suddenly seeing him clearly for the first time. This weak man who couldn't stand up to his mother, who'd betrayed his family for a younger woman. I felt a strange calm settle over me. You're right, Nate, I said softly. We do need to think about what's best for Maddie, and it's certainly not this toxic environment. I turned and walked out of the kitchen, my mind racing. I needed a plan. I needed to protect Maddie and myself from these people who claimed to love us but were tearing us apart. As I climbed the stairs, I heard Maddie's bedroom door open. She stood there, tears streaming down her face. Mom? What's happening? Why is everyone yelling? I pulled her into a tight hug, my resolve strengthening. It's okay, sweetheart. Everything's going to be okay, I promise. And in that moment, I knew I'd do whatever it took to keep that promise. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of dread weighing heavily on my chest. Maddie had cried herself to sleep in my arms, and I knew I had to face the harsh reality of our situation. As I made my way downstairs, I heard Nate's voice coming from the kitchen. He was talking in hushed tones, clearly trying not to be overheard. Creeping closer, I pressed my ear against the door. I know, Sarah. I'm trying to figure it out, Nate whispered. Eliza's not going to make this easy. My blood ran cold. I fumbled for my phone, hitting the record button just as Nate continued. We'll be together soon, I promise. I just need to sort out this mess with Maddie first. Tears stung my eyes as I listened to my husband plotting to leave us, but it was his next words that truly shattered my heart. I know, baby, I love you too, more than I ever loved her. I stumbled back, barely stifling a sob. The phone slipped from my trembling fingers, clattering to the floor. The kitchen door flew open, and Nate stood there, his face pale. Eliza, he started, but I cut him off. Don't, I spat. I heard everything. Nate's expression hardened. You were spying on me? I laughed bitterly. Spying in my own home? You're the one sneaking around, making plans to abandon your family. It's not like that, Nate protested weakly. Then what is it like, Nate? Please enlighten me. Before he could answer, my phone buzzed with an incoming call. It was Maddie's school. With a sinking feeling, I answered. Mrs. Sterling? This is Principal Hawkins. We need you to come in immediately. There's been an incident with Maddie. My heart raced as I rushed to the school, leaving Nate behind without another word. When I arrived, I found Maddie sitting outside the principal's office, her eyes red and puffy. Mom, she whimpered, throwing herself into my arms. Principal Hawkins ushered us into her office, her face grave. Mrs. Sterling, Maddie was involved in a physical altercation with another student today. I gasped, looking at my usually gentle daughter. Maddie, what happened? Maddie's lower lip trembled. She said, Dad doesn't love us anymore, that he has a new family now. My blood ran cold. How did this other child know about Sarah? Principal Hawkins continued, We take bullying very seriously, Mrs. Sterling, but we also can't condone violence. Maddie will be suspended for 3 days. I nodded numbly, my mind reeling. As we left the office, I noticed Gloria standing in the hallway, a smug smile on her face. She was talking to a woman I didn't recognize, but who bore a striking resemblance to Sarah. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. Gloria had orchestrated this entire situation, from the affair to the bullying at school. She was systematically trying to destroy our family. As we drove home, Maddie's quiet sobs filling the car, I made a decision. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I couldn't keep letting Gloria and Nate manipulate and hurt us. I pulled over to the side of the road and turned to face my daughter. Maddie, sweetie, I need you to listen to me. Things are going to change, and they're going to change fast. But I promise you, I will do everything in my power to protect you and make sure you're happy. Do you trust me? Maddie nodded, her eyes wide. What are we going to do, Mom? I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. We're going to fight back. But first, I need to talk to someone who can help us. We're going to visit Aunt Willow. As I pulled back onto the road, heading towards my best friend's house, I felt a mix of fear and determination. I didn't know exactly how, but I knew one thing for certain. Gloria and Nate had no idea what was coming for them. As I pulled into Willow's driveway, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely turn off the engine. Maddie had fallen asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the emotional turmoil of the day. I gently woke her, and we made our way to Willow's front door. Willow opened it before we could knock, her face etched with concern. Eliza, honey, what's wrong? I burst into tears, the weight of everything finally crashing down on me. Willow ushered us inside, settling Maddie in front of the TV with some snacks before pulling me into the kitchen. "Spill," she demanded, pushing a mug of tea into my hands. Through sobs, I recounted everything. Nate's affair, Gloria's manipulations, and Maddie's incident at school. Willow listened intently, her lawyer's mind clearly working overtime. "Eliza," she said slowly, "there's something you need to know about Sarah." My heart sank. "What is it?" Willow took a deep breath. "She's not just Gloria's friend's daughter. She's practically family. Franklin Hampton, Sarah's father, has been Gloria's best friend for decades. There are even rumors they had an affair years ago." The room spun around me. "What are you saying, Willow?" "I'm saying this is deeper than just an affair, Eliza. This is Gloria orchestrating the destruction of your marriage. She's using Sarah to replace you in Nate's life." I felt sick. "But why? What did I ever do to her?" Willow's eyes softened. "You existed, honey. You threatened her control over Nate, and now she's using this affair to manipulate not just Nate but Maddie too." Anger surged through me, hot and fierce. "She's using my daughter as a pawn in her sick game?" Willow nodded grimly. "The incident at school, I'd bet my law degree that Gloria had something to do with it. She's trying to paint you as an unfit mother." I stood up abruptly, tapped my chair scraping against the floor. "I need to confront her. I need to make her admit what she's done." Willow grabbed my arm. "Eliza, wait. You can't go in there guns blazing. We need a plan." But I was beyond reason. The thought of Gloria manipulating my daughter, trying to turn her against me, had awakened a primal rage I'd never felt before. "No, Willow, I'm done playing nice. I'm done being the victim. It's time Gloria learns she can't mess with my family." Willow's eyes widened. "Eliza, think about this. If you confront her now, you might jeopardize any legal case we could build." I paused, her words penetrating my anger-fueled haze. "Legal case?" Willow nodded. "With what you've told me, we could potentially file for divorce on grounds of adultery. We could fight for full custody of Maddie. But if you tip your hand now, Gloria and Nate might destroy evidence." I sank back into my chair, conflicted. Part of me wanted nothing more than to storm over to Gloria's house and give her a piece of my mind, but the rational part knew Willow was right. "What do I do, Willow?" I whispered, feeling lost. Willow squeezed my hand. "We gather evidence, we build a case, and then, when the time is right, we strike. We take down Gloria, Nate, and anyone else involved in this mess." I looked at my best friend, seeing the fierce determination in her eyes. For the first time in days, I felt a glimmer of hope. "Okay," I said, straightening my shoulders. "Where do we start?" Willow smiled, a hint of mischief in her eyes. "First, we need to pay a visit to Franklin Hampton. I have a feeling he might not know the full extent of what his daughter and Gloria are up to." As we began to formulate our plan, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. Gloria thought she had won, that she had broken me. But she had no idea what was coming. I was done being the victim. It was time to become the victor. I stood on Gloria's doorstep, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. Willow's words echoed in my mind, urging caution, but I couldn't wait any longer. I needed answers, and I needed them now. The door swung open, and there stood Gloria, her face a mask of false concern. "Eliza, dear, what a surprise." I pushed past her into the house, my anger propelling me forward. "Cut the act, Gloria. I know everything." Gloria's eyes narrowed, but her voice remained sickly sweet. "I'm sure I don't know what you mean." "I know about Sarah," I spat. "I know she's not just some random woman. She's Franklin's daughter, your best friend's daughter." For a moment, Gloria's mask slipped, revealing a flash of surprise before she regained her composure. "And what exactly are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. You orchestrated this whole affair, didn't you? You've been trying to get rid of me from day one." Gloria's facade crumbled, replaced by a sneer of contempt. "Oh, please, as if I needed to orchestrate anything. Nate was miserable with you long before Sarah came into the picture." Half her words hit me like a physical blow, but I stood my ground. "That's a lie. We were happy before you started poisoning our marriage." "Happy?" Gloria laughed, a cold, cruel sound. "You were suffocating him with your neediness, your constant demands. Sarah gives him the freedom he's always craved." I felt tears pricking at my eyes, but blinked them away. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me cry. "And what about Maddie? Did you think about her when you were destroying our family?" For a moment I thought I saw a flicker of guilt in Gloria's eyes, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. "Maddie will be fine. She'll be better off without your smothering influence." Rage surged through me. "How dare you? I'm her mother." A poor excuse for one, Gloria shot back. You were never good enough for Nate. Maybe now he can find someone worthy. Her words hung in the air between us, the full weight of her disdain finally laid bare. In that moment, I realized the true depth of Gloria's hatred for me. This wasn't just about Nate or Sarah. This was about Gloria's need for control, her refusal to let anyone threaten her dominion over her son's life. You're a monster, I whispered, my voice shaking with anger and disbelief. Gloria's lips curled into a cruel smile. Oh, darling, you have no idea. Just then, the front door opened, and Nate walked in. He froze when he saw us, his eyes darting between Gloria and me. What's going on here? He asked, his voice wary. Before I could speak, Gloria turned to him, her eyes brimming with fake tears. Oh, Nate, Eliza's been saying such horrible things. She's trying to turn you against me. I watched in disbelief as Nate's face hardened, his arm going around his mother's shoulders protectively. Is that true, Eliza? Are you attacking my mother now? In that moment, I saw with perfect clarity the extent of Gloria's manipulation. She had poisoned not just my marriage, but my husband's very perception of reality. Nate, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, can't you see what she's doing? She's been manipulating us all along. But Nate's eyes were cold, devoid of the love I once saw there. I think you should leave, Eliza. Now. As I stumbled out of the house, my world crumbling around me, I realized that I had underestimated Gloria. She hadn't just orchestrated an affair. She had systematically dismantled my entire life. Sitting in my car, tears streaming down my face, I knew I had a choice to make. I could give up, let Gloria win and watch as she destroyed everything I held dear. Or I could fight back, harder than I ever had before. My phone buzzed with a text from Willow. Did you confront her? What happened? Taking a deep breath, I made my decision. It was time to take the gloves off. Gloria wanted a war. She was going to get one. I typed back, it's worse than we thought. We need a new plan, a nuclear option. As I drove away from Gloria's house, a steely resolve settled over me. I didn't know how yet, but I was going to take back my life, my family, and my dignity. And God help anyone who stood in my way. My hands trembled as I smoothed down my dress, taking one last look in the mirror. The annual Sterling family reunion was about to begin, and I knew this was my moment. Everything I had worked for, every piece of evidence I had gathered, it all came down to this. Mom, are you ready? Maddie called from downstairs. Coming, sweetie, I replied, taking a deep breath to steady my nerves. As we drove to Gloria's house where the reunion was being held, Maddie fidgeted in her seat. Do we really have to go? I reached over and squeezed her hand. Yes, honey, but I promise after today things will be different. We arrived to find the backyard already bustling with family members. Gloria stood at the center, holding court like the queen she thought she was. Nate was by her side, Sarah hovering nearby. The sight of them together made my blood boil, but I forced a smile. Eliza, darling! Gloria's voice dripped with false sweetness. So glad you could make it. I nodded, my grip tightening on the folder I carried. I wouldn't miss it for the world, Gloria. As the afternoon wore on, I mingled, biding my time. I caught glimpses of Nate and Sarah exchanging furtive glances, of Gloria whispering in people's ears. My resolve strengthened with each passing minute. Finally, as everyone gathered for Gloria's annual speech, I knew my moment had come. As she finished her saccharine words about family unity, I stepped forward. I'd like to say something, if I may, I said, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent yard. Gloria's eyes narrowed, but she nodded, a tight smile on her face. I took a deep breath and began. Family is indeed precious. It's something to be cherished and protected. But what happens when the very people who should love and support you are the ones tearing you down? A murmur ran through the crowd. I saw Nate stiffen, his eyes darting to Gloria. For years, I've endured manipulation, lies, and betrayal from those I trusted most. I opened my folder, pulling out a stack of papers. I have here evidence of an affair orchestrated not just by my husband, but by his mother. Gasps echoed around me. Gloria stepped forward, her face thunderous. How dare you? But I cut her off, my voice growing stronger. I have text messages, emails, and witness statements proving that Gloria not only knew about Nate's affair with Sarah, but actively encouraged it. I began passing out copies of the evidence, watching as shock and disgust spread across faces. Nate lunged forward, trying to grab the papers, but Arnold, his father, held him back. For the sake of my daughter and my own dignity, I can no longer stand by and let deceitful people tear our family apart, I declared, tears and strength mingling in my voice. Gloria has manipulated us all, poisoning relationships and destroying lives for her own selfish reasons. The yard erupted into chaos. Family members turned on Nate and Gloria, demanding explanations. Sarah tried to slip away, but Franklin, her own father, stopped her, his face a mask of disappointment. Through it all, I stood firm, Maddie by my side. Gloria, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her, finally lost her composure. "You ungrateful little witch!" she screamed, lunging at me. But before she could reach me, Arnold stepped between us. "That's enough, Gloria," he said, his voice heavy with years of pent-up frustration. "It's over." As the family turned their backs on Gloria and Nate, isolating them in a sea of judgment and disbelief, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. I had done it. I had exposed the truth and reclaimed my dignity. Maddie tugged at my hand, her eyes wide. "Mom, can we go home now?" I looked down at her, then at the chaos around us. This wasn't the end. There would be fallout to deal with, wounds to heal. But for the first time in years, I felt hope. "Yes, sweetheart," I said, squeezing her hand. "Let's go home." As we walked away from the shattered remains of Gloria's empire, I knew that while one chapter of our lives had ended, a new, brighter one was just beginning. The doorbell rang, shattering the peaceful Saturday morning Maddie and I had been enjoying. I knew who it was before I even opened the door. Nate stood there, looking disheveled and desperate. "Eliza, please, can we talk?" I stepped outside, closing the door behind me to shield Maddie from whatever scene might unfold. "What do you want, Nate?" "I've made a terrible mistake," he said, his voice cracking. "I've left Sarah. I've cut ties with Mom. I want to come home." For a moment, I felt a flicker of the love I once had for him. But then I remembered all the pain, all the betrayal, and my resolve hardened. "You've lost your chance to be part of this family. Maddie and I are moving forward," I told him, my voice calm but firm. Nate's face crumpled. "But I love you. I love Maddie. We can work this out." I shook my head. "Love isn't enough, Nate. Trust, respect, loyalty, those are the foundations of a family. You destroyed all of that." "What about Maddie?" he pleaded. "She needs her father." "She needs stability and honesty," I countered, "something you haven't provided in a long time." Just then the door opened behind me. Maddie stood there, her eyes darting between Nate and me. "Dad," she said, her voice small and uncertain. Nate's eyes lit up. "Maddie, sweetheart, I've come home." But Maddie surprised us both. She stepped forward, her chin raised defiantly. "This isn't your home anymore, Dad. You hurt Mom. You hurt me. We don't want you here." Nate staggered back as if he'd been struck. I put my arm around Maddie, feeling a surge of pride at her strength. "You hurt her, Nate," I said softly. "It's time for you to go." As Nate walked away, his shoulders slumped in defeat. I felt a weight lift from my chest. We watched him drive away, and for the first time in months, I felt truly free. Maddie looked up at me, her eyes shining. "Are we going to be okay, Mom?" I hugged her tightly. "We're going to be more than okay, sweetheart. We're going to thrive." Over the next few weeks, Maddie and I settled into our new normal. We redecorated the house, erasing the last traces of Nate's presence. I reached out to my old contacts in the graphic design world, surprised at how quickly my skills came flooding back. One evening, as Maddie and I sat at the kitchen table, she working on homework and me sketching designs for a new client, Willow called. "How are you holding up?" she asked. I looked at Maddie, contentedly chewing on her pencil as she puzzled over a math problem, and smiled. "We're doing great, actually. It's like I can finally breathe again. And the new job? It's amazing," I said, feeling a rush of excitement. I'd forgotten how much I loved designing. It's like rediscovering a part of myself I thought I'd lost. Willow's voice softened. "I'm so proud of you, Eliza. You've come so far." After we hung up, I sat back, reflecting on the journey of the past few months. The pain, the betrayal, the fear, it had all led to this moment of peace and self-discovery. "Mom," Maddie's voice pulled me from my thoughts. "Can you help me with this problem?" As I leaned over to assist her, I realized that this simple, quiet moment with my daughter was everything I had fought for. We had weathered the storm together and come out stronger on the other side. Later that night, as I tucked Maddie into bed, she asked, "Do you ever miss Dad?" I paused, considering my answer carefully. "I miss the idea of what our family could have been," I said honestly, "but I'm excited about what our family is becoming." Maddie nodded, seeming to understand. "Me too, Mom. I like our new life." As I kissed her goodnight and turned out the light, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The road ahead might not be easy, but I knew we were on the right path. Nate and Gloria were part of our past now, a chapter closed. Standing in the hallway, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. The woman looking back at me was stronger, wiser, and more confident than she had been in years. She was a survivor, a protector, and a creator of her own destiny. With a smile, I headed to my room, ready to face whatever challenges tomorrow might bring. Because now I knew without a doubt that Maddie and I could handle anything life threw our way. We were more than just survivors. We were thrivers. And our story was just beginning.